Greetings, Internet, YouTube, children of all ages. Today is the 16th of January, which is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in America. If you're not American, if you're watching this from a foreign land, foreign to me anyway, and you don't know who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was, stay tuned. I will talk a little bit more about him during the episode itself proper. But for now, I just wanted to dedicate this episode of Unemployed to the memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and what he stood for, which I think all people everywhere should believe and stand for what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for. So, from an unemployed superhero, salute.
Live from Casa de Clark in beautiful Independence, Iowa, it's Unemployed with your host, Matt Clark.
It is I, your unemployed superhero. Greetings, men, women, children, men and women at sea. It is the 16th of January, a Monday, here in the great state of Iowa. It is I, your unemployed superhero. Max the Wonder Dog, JP100D over the shoulder, assortment of deadly axes to my left. Rock on. Kind of a special episode of Unemployed today, all about MLK Day and Martin Luther King Jr. and the state of race relations in America. I try to keep these videos lighthearted. There will be some crude, possibly unfunny humor throughout this video. None of it is meant to be racially insensitive. If you find anything that I say today offensive, that was kind of the point. But know this, I am not a racist person. Like all great white people, I've had some black friends. But I don't consider myself a racist person. And we'll get into that as we go along. To start the video, I'm going to clean the glasses. To start the video, since this is Unemployed, I thought I'd give you a quick update on what's going on in my world. If I haven't mentioned it before, I do have a job interview next week, and a job that I'm very interested in. I have a unique set of skills. Yeah, you know that. Anyway, it's a good job. I hope it works out well for me. Gets me off the schneid. It's been a few months now since I was gainfully employed, and the savings is running low. So would be nice to get back onto the horse, so to speak. Pop's doing okay. I'm actually going to go into town tomorrow and say hi to Pop. It's his birthday tomorrow. I'm going to go say hi to Pop, see how he's doing. Kind of got a bit of a game plan with Pop. I'm thinking on the weekends to go in, maybe take him to lunch, get him out of the building he's in. Dad gets bored. Dad's a lot like me. We get bored very easily. In other words, I have a lot of hobbies because I get bored with hobbies quickly. For a while there, I did model cars till I got bored of it. Then I graduated from model cars up to RC cars, radio-controlled cars. That got a little expensive, and it's tough to do in Iowa in the wintertime because there's no place publicly to do it around here that much. So I kind of killed the RC car thing. I've painted. The guitar thing started off as a mild interest. That's why I never consider myself a musician, because I don't really practice that much. And I'll probably never do it for profit as a job. So I never consider myself a musician. We'll talk about that in another show. But I have a lot of hobbies, and Dad's kind of the same way, and he gets bored easily like I do. Well, I get bored like he does easily. So he gets bored in the hospital very quickly, and hopefully it'll help with his boredom and kind of keep things nicer while he's there. Been a weird couple of weeks. Hoping things turn out well with this job interview next week. I'll keep you informed. If anything comes down the pipe this week, I'll keep you informed. But so far, it's only Monday. So, like I said, real HR work doesn't happen in Iowa till Wednesday for some reason. That was the hand. So, we'll see what happens there. But that's what's happening in my neck of the woods at the moment. Steelers won on Sunday. Yes. They face the dreaded Patriots of New England, who I think are scum. Maybe we'll talk about that Friday or Thursday. So I can go on for quite a few hours about the scum that is New England and most of the NFL, and why I'm kind of tired of the NFL. And you, if you are any NFL fans out there, you kind of agree with me, because NFL's ratings are down considerably this year. We'll talk about that. Maybe on Friday or Thursday. Maybe I'll write something up for that. But the bulk of today's video is about Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is what it is today. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I actually had a nice little speech written up, but as you know, I do most of these off the cuff. I don't prepare all that much. So I figured, screw it. Let's get a little Dr. Pepper for Dr. Martin and Dr. King. And let's talk about MLK's legacy in America and race relations in America. And the world, for that matter. In my mind, from when I went to school, by the way, Max is a big fan of MLK, aren't you, Max? You a big fan of MLK? See, he agrees with me. He's a big fan. I was taught in school that Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was mainly and I am going to go to my notes, was mainly considered a equal rights leader in America, which is what he is. That's about it. The assassination, all that wonderful stuff. All that stuff happened way before even I was conceived. Actually, before my older brother was conceived, actually. If I remember right. So yeah, I was never around for any of that. Most of my generation, I think a lot of the racial unrest memories end with the generation, with my dad's generation. I think generations after my dad's generation didn't really see the racial unrest around the country that was around when Dr. Martin Luther King was alive and doing his thing. Not that I'm shitting on current black people, I'm not. I'm just saying that most of that stuff, for the white folks anyway of this country, ended with my dad's generation. Not that racism in it didn't. Race is a touchy subject. I'm sure if a lot of white folks who are watching this video, I doubt many white folks like the fact that I'm broaching this subject, even being incredibly white myself. I'm so white I glow in the dark. It's a touchy subject, which I wish it wasn't. Here's the big difference between white folks and black folks in America, from my point of view. And this is a white guy, a sheltered white guy in the middle of the Midwest in Iowa, and his point of view. From the people I know and talk to, which includes many races, I've dealt in the past with diverse races, and I've asked them questions about it. I think the big problem that white folk don't understand about being a black person in America is that, well, I'll put it this way. White folk don't think racism is as bad as it's been in the past. I believe that. The reason for that is because if you ask a white person what racism is, they'll tell you that racism is one race, in this case the white folk. I know, I'm getting to it. White folk keeping black people from opportunity. In other words, denying them jobs, denying them education, denying them homes, that kind of thing. Denying them opportunity, because a lot of white people that I talk to and work with and deal with think in terms of living life in America, having a job, having a house, having a bank account, paying your bills, that kind of thing. And they see racism as one group, the white folks, keeping black folks from having a job, a home, paying their bills, living. That's what they see racism as. And the major majority of white people that I know and have dealt with don't have the power to do that. In other words, I will never keep a black man from having a job. I won't. I will never stop a black man from buying a house or voting or owning a car. I won't. Or living in a community. That's what most white folks, I think, see as racism. And because they don't have the power to do that, they feel racism has declined. Now, if you're a black person who can't get a job, who can't buy a house, doesn't have credit, historically speaking, the reason why a lot of those things have happened is because white folk who in the past ran everything didn't give you the opportunity to do that. So in your mind, we're still the same place we've always been. And I think that's where the big divide comes from. I am one of those people that thinks that the main problem people have is not racism. I don't think the world is seen as racist anymore. It's seen as status. There's a certain level that gets all the breaks, that has all the chances, and none of us are in it. And that's the issue that we have. And it's fun for people who run things around this country to keep racial diversity low and to keep racial unrest high, because the longer we fight each other, these lower races, the white folks, the Mexicans, the Chinese, Japanese, the blacks, whatever, as long as we fight each other over ridiculous racist ideals, the longer it takes us to realize that it's not us screwing each other. It's a group of people who actually run the country, that upper 2-3%. Which I know oh, he's a Bernie guy. He's against the old upper 1%. Yeah, I am. Because the rest of us are down here toiling in crap, while a very small percentage of the country reaps all the rewards. That's wrong. And the fact that we're shooting each other, killing each other, for nothing, for scraps, when in reality we should be creating opportunities for everyone in the country, regardless of who they are. Which the 1% that have all the opportunities don't want to give them up, because then they have to actually work for a living. That's how I look at things. There's a group of people in this country who are really, really rich, who don't do anything. They don't. They don't produce anything. They don't create anything. They just stay rich. That's all they do. While the people who actually create things and do things and build things toil in the muck, fighting each other over what they consider to be opportunities. That's the big problem with America right now. And until people look around and realize that you don't have opportunity anymore in this country, there's still a glass ceiling. It's not men, it's not women, it's not blacks, it's not Puerto Ricans, it's everybody has a glass ceiling. That you're only going to get so high in this world because you're not part of an elite group. You're not a Bush. You're not a Koch. You're not a Buffett. You know, until you've reached that level, you will never get full opportunity to be what you want to be. This country does not have opportunity anymore. It doesn't. I hate to break it to everybody. The American dream is the American dream because you got to be asleep to see it. And that's what Americans should be fighting about. Not over each other, not over who benefits from Obamacare, not over who's on welfare and who's not. We should be fighting over everybody getting a fair shot at opportunity. At least that's what I think. Anyway. And the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. His dream was that all people, regardless of their background, their race, their religion, whatever you want to call it, all people would come together, work together, and make the world a better place. When you look at the world right now, it is not a better place. You know, there's horrific things happening in Africa, South America, Indonesia, China. You know, not a whole lot's changed over the last 1,000 years. Corporations have come and gone. Civilizations have come and gone. But the world still works pretty much the way it's always worked. And I think that's what Dr. King, I don't know the man, obviously. This idea that I wasn't his target audience, I think is a bit of BS. I think Dr. King talked to everybody. Yes, he was black, and he was working to get equality for black people in America. But I think Dr. King was trying to talk to everybody and say, hey, the whole is only as strong as its weakest membership. That is the one thing that I believe in more than anything. Maybe it's a sports analogy more than anything. Being a football guy, you know, your team, in sports anyway, if you're in a team sport, your team is only as good as the worst member of your team, the weakest member of your team. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And until every member of society across the globe is as strong as every other member of society, we're still going to be a weak planet, a weak race of people. We are just one race, by the way. We're humans, period. And as long as one group of humans is lesser to another, we'll never be the strongest we could be. I know that's simplistic to say, but it's what I believe. And I think that's what Dr. King tried to say. And a lot of men like him have tried to say over the generations, that we're only as strong as the weakest. If you read the Bible, that's what Jesus said. It's what a lot of religious figures have said over the years. I think it happens to be true. So what do you think? Has Martin Luther King Jr.'s message reached the world? Is racism as good or as bad as it's been in the past? Are we a better country? If you ask the Mexicans in the whole wall situation, they're going to give you a different answer. If you're not from America, if you're from outside America, I know there's a few people that watch these videos that aren't American. What do you folks think of American race relations? How is it portrayed in your country? I'm curious. I knew a man from India who I used to work with, and they didn't talk much in India about our race relations. It wasn't a big thing to them. They didn't really think of it because it wasn't important to them how our race relations were working. He was more worried about getting a job in America and feeding his family. So I'm curious, what do you folks think, who are not Americans, how race relations are portrayed in America in foreign countries? Maybe we could educate each other. What's race like in your country? This has been your unemployed superhero, talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy. We'll come back tomorrow, day after, with more stupidity that you're used to. And we'll talk again soon. For Max the Wonder Dog, this has been your unemployed superhero. Stay sexy, San Diego, even though you're losing your football team. Be good to your mother. Max wants to say bye. Say goodbye. Don't lick me in the mouth. Say goodbye, Max. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. He's ignoring you. Stay good to your mother, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.